Hey, it's Michael Kosta. This is the Tennis Anyone podcast. How you doing? It's Wednesday, February 12th. It is very cold in Brooklyn. Cars aren't starting. Shovel is a problem. People don't know this who don't live in New York City, but if you have a car, that's a luxury. And in LA, the flex is what kind of car do you have? In New York, it's just, I have a car. Or even better, I have a parking space. So when you park on the street, which is what a lot of people in Brooklyn do, and then it snows and the plows come, they essentially build a wall around your car. So then when you want to get in or out, you have to have a shovel, not like a thing to wipe your windshield down, an actual shovel. So you shovel your car out. If you don't do that, you can get stuck. What happens every year is somebody just says, I'm going to get going fast when they're trying to park and they have to clear the wall. So they go fast through the wall. They hit something solid. They mess up their car, or they then can't stop and they hit the car. Just sweet New York City stuff. The reason that car insurance, whatever you're paying in car insurance right now, unless you live in Brooklyn, whatever you're paying in car insurance right now, multiply it by 4. That's Brooklyn car insurance. And here's why. Whenever somebody goes down my street so fast that it makes me yell at them like an old grandpa, or say to my children, you see that person? Don't be like that person. They don't have a license plate in their car. It's not registered. The car has one of the doors is a different color. And then what you start doing is you start looking at who's driving, and then you pass judgment, don't you? Then you start forming prejudices, don't you, Michael? Looking at you right now. And I'm safe to say that multiple reckless, endangered drivers are of all race or of all gender. What'd you think of that stupid Jesus commercial during the Super Bowl? I'm fine with it. Go for it. Jesus, you're allowed to do that. Can you imagine if there was a Muhammad commercial? Well, first of all, you can't depict Muhammad. Okay, but some other religion. And I'm curious if there ever has been. The Super Bowl, it's not my favorite. It's like kind of, to me, it's like all of what's terrible about the United States, commercialism, fake patriotism, then somehow this league which wants to end racism and then allows Kendrick Lamar. This is what, the second or third halftime performance where white America doesn't like it, or parts of white America don't like it. It feels to me like the NFL says, hey, we're going to do what we do, white ownership, no guaranteed contracts, but we're going to give Jay-Z the halftime at the Super Bowl and that'll balance it out. Or their whole, we're going to end racism, or their whole, hey, young kids, you can play flag football. Let's just talk about flag football so that way we don't talk about the head injuries. The kickoff, I can safely say, and I did not watch the whole Super Bowl. I watched the first half. I haven't watched a half of the NFL in a long time, and man, do I not miss it. What is the kickoff? What is that? It's totally pointless. Welcome to the Tennis Anyone podcast, everybody. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Which is a new endeavor for us, but it's going well. So we're going to keep it up. Yeah, as I get older, football is less important to me. It's too long a commitment. The violence is okay. If everybody signs up for the violence, it's like if the guy in the offense says he's going to be violent and the guy in defense is going to be violent, then it's okay. Everybody's agreed to the violence. As Trevor Price used to say to me when we worked together at Crowd Goes Wild, they pay the other guy too. So they pay the running back to hit me, and they pay me to hit the running back. Both parties agree. Both parties are making money. And it hurts both parties. So yeah, not a big NFL fan. I thought the Kendrick Lamar was visually fascinating. It was hard to not draw comparisons to Squid Game. I definitely thought, and maybe this is my whiteness coming out, I definitely thought he he doesn't have the like bangers as far as songs are concerned. I have Kendrick Lamar on my playlist. I enjoy him. But I never, Rihanna, I'm like, oh, she sings that song. Oh, she sings that song. Dre, Eminem, who was last year was Rihanna. The year before that, I'm not sure. So I thought it was a little bit of a risky booking in the sense that I don't see him, even though I think he just won Best Album or Rap Album. I don't see him as in that popular zeitgeist as some of these other artists. But I thought physically, that would be a tough job to do that. 13 minutes, rapping the whole time. Visually was stunning. The blackness component I thought was great. Definitely enjoyed the memes of a bunch of white Southern people watching Kendrick Lamar's halftime. Kind of like, what? A bunch of old white people. And yeah, there's a lot of like bullshit TikTok interpretations. One of them was showing Serena Williams. Here, I'll tie it into tennis. One of them was showing Serena Williams. Is it called crip walking? Excuse me, everybody. I'm going to sound very white. But then they also showed, maybe you saw this TikTok. They also showed her doing that at Wimbledon. And then they said, and this infuriated the officials. And then they showed the official from the U.S. Open walking out on a hard court. And this is the kind of thing that I hate, okay? You're going to show a Wimbledon piece of footage and then say all the officials were mad, and then you show the white official at the U.S. Open acting mad. So two totally unrelated clips. You have no clue the context. And this is also the problem with Serena Williams, is it always gets people involved in the sport that don't even understand the sport. Is it true that Serena Williams was dancing during Serena Williams Super Bowl? Did that actually happen? Serena Williams crip walked at the Super Bowl because Kendrick Lamar asked her to. That's great. She says, I do love Serena Williams. I love that she did that. I didn't even notice it. I would have freaked out if I would have seen that. I am often misconstrued with my criticisms of Serena. I love her competitiveness. I love her serve. I love her winning. I love her attitude. I love her, fuck you, I'll do what I want. But also, I think she makes mistakes, and those mistakes are, we're allowed to point those out. I could see why people at Wimbledon would be mad at her crip walking, but then they also showed a picture, I think it's of Brian Early, right? The Brian Early U.S. Open. I don't even have a picture of him. Yeah, so Brian Early is the referee or tournament director. I think he's the referee. So anyways, I don't know why this made me so mad, but I do get mad at stuff when they show tennis out of context. They show Serena crip walking at Wimbledon on grass, and then they say the evidence that they show that made white people mad was Brian Early at the U.S. Open walking in an angry manner. So who knows? What a surprise. Something on the internet isn't accurate. But that's very cool that Serena was dancing at halftime and shows how powerful Serena is. One, I'm just saying her first name. Two, she's fucking at the Super Bowl halftime. That's pretty cool. The Super Bowl halftime it's like the artists are now so clear that so many eyes will be on them that they're leaving these little Easter eggs for us. The chain and the make of the car and, Samuel L. Jackson. Who was it? Oh, it was Beyonce, right? It was kind of like all the pro-black, quote unquote, paraphernalia. So, hey, if this is the black community's moment to wink at each other and make fun of the white people, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. So I can tell you this, as a bunch of white people watching Kendrick Lamar at the halftime, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed it. Our criticism, my criticism, no one else was really criticizing. My criticism was that I don't know enough of Kendrick's songs. I don't think any of them, I don't know enough of his songs that when they turn on, I turn them up. I certainly don't give a shit about Drake. I don't give a shit about the Drake beef. I don't know enough about it, and I don't care. And just as we in the political forum often think everyone knows what we're talking about, I think Kendrick on that stage, and that's probably why he didn't go hard on Drake. They often forget, artists often forget that I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about with Drake, dude. I don't even know the beef. I don't know. This is a tennis podcast. Anyways, I'm over football. I've been over football, the fake patriotism, when it came out that the military was paying money to fly over these NFL games. They were treating it as an advertisement. I think John McCain might have been the one that uncovered that. I just felt it was very dishonest. I felt like I don't love grown men putting Philadelphia Eagles shirts on their children. I don't like it. I don't like it, folks. And guess what? That's okay. And I would be a lot more popular and a lot more successful if I did. I was at Comics, a comedy club in Mohegan Sun Casino. Can't stand casinos. I passed 900 billboards on the way up there. Not one of them was of ya boy. But guess what? This was a fun gig, actually. It's in Connecticut, Mohegan Sun Casino, a couple hours from the city. Great crowd, great acoustics. Had a lot of fun at Comics. And I was concerned because casinos are the worst, really. It's free tickets. It's very little room to play. You got to have the show over because the Chippendale dancers are coming up next. It's very corporate. You can only get a drink with a drink coupon. I'm sorry, you already used up your free sandwich. This was not that. I don't know what deal Comics negotiated when they took over this place, but they did a great job. It felt like a real comedy club with intelligent staff and managers that was, of course, tucked into a casino. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And it blows me away how people gamble. God, they drive far away to then sit indoors in a fake luminescent tree to gamble. I would rather bundle up and hike outdoors in the snow than do that. That's just me. Next road dates. What do we got? Feb is going to be Atlanta, Feb 28, St. Louis, March 1st. I don't want to confirm anything just yet, but your boy might be hanging at Indian Wells. Okay, it's not locked in, but it might be happening. This all, of course, is stand-up comedy and promoting my new book, Lucky Loser, which I don't even have a copy right here. Can't show the YouTube people. My book comes out March 11th. I'm doing book signings March 10th in the Upper West Side Barnes & Noble. If you're here in New York, it's a free event. Buy a book. I'll personalize and sign it for you. Kat Radley, who's a funny comedian and writer at The Daily Show, will be moderating the event. March 13th, I'll be in Austin, Texas at the Book People. And I want to make sure I say his name correctly because he'll be moderating it as well. Where is it? Here it is. The Book People in Austin, March 13th. It is Ehsan Ahmad, 7 p.m. Am I saying his name right? Ehsan Ahmad. He's a friend from the Comedy Store days in L.A., funny comic. He'll be moderating the event. And then March 22nd in Palm Springs. These are all book signings. Book signings March 10th, Upper West Side, Barnes & Noble, Manhattan, New York. March 13th, Book People, Austin, Texas. I'll also be at the Mothership March 14th and March 15th, performing stand-up comedy. Palm Springs, March 22nd at the Barnes & Noble excuse me. Oh, I fucked up. March 22nd, Palm Beach, Florida. So there's a lot of palms in here. Palm Beach, Florida, March 22nd. I'll be down there helping Kevin Anderson do his charity event. And get this, with Andre Agassi, Steffi Graf, Andy Roddick again, and Kim Kleisters. So I'm just a lucky motherfucker this year. Poor Andre. He probably was very excited he's never going to have to see me again from our Asheville. But nope, can't get rid of me, Andre. Andy knows he was going to see me again at some point. But anyway, so that's all good stuff coming up. There's a lot of stand-up comedy dates, and there's a lot of book signings if you want to come do a book signing and say hi and get a book. Very cool tennis results this past week, right? Dallas, Shapovalov won his third event, which, I was going to have this up, my bad. I want to see what other events he's won. ATP, Denis Shapovalov. This is his third event. He beat a lot of great players. Let's go to his, could you name right now 3 events that Denis Shapovalov has won? Let's go bio. Is that where they show titles? Isn't there a place they show activity? Titles and finals. All right. He has won 3 titles, all on indoor hard. Starting in 2019, he won Stockholm. 2024, he won Belgrade indoor hard. And then 2025, he won Dallas indoor hard. So, of course, he has a great game for indoor, but we would love for Denis Shapovalov to win outdoor because he's a bad motherfucker. Let's be honest. Let's look at his draw right here, folks. All right. He beat Kecmanovic 6-3 in the third, first round. Then he beat Taylor Fritz, the number 1 seed, 7-6 in the third in the round of 16. Quarterfinals, he beat Tommy Makic 6-0. Am I saying these names right? Sure. He then beat Tommy Paul 7-5. Is that his third Tommy? 5-3. And then in the final, he beat Casper Ruud 6-3. Very convincing win. Nice job, Dennis. I was on Craig Shapiro's podcast, the Craig Shapiro Tennis Podcast. Is that what it's called? Promoting the book, Lucky Loser. And he said that Carlos Alcaraz have never won an indoor title until he won Rotterdam. He beat De Minaur in the final, 6-2 in the third. He beat Urkash 6-3 in the third. That had some great points. Thank you, Instagram, for showing me that. He beat Martinez from Spain 2-1. He beat, I'm going backwards here. He beat Vavasori. I'm from Italy. It's okay to do that because it's Italian. And then he beat, look at this. He beat Botic van de Zandershoop 6-1 in the third. Why is that interesting? Because your boy Kosta was at the U.S. Open first round, when Botic van de Zandsloop lost. Carlos Alcaraz lost to Botic van de Zandsloop. And I was like, how is this guy ever going to beat Carlos Alcaraz? And then he did. The other fun one, you guys, and thanks to Craig Shapiro, who really follows this shit. Jesus Christ, does he really, really follow it? He's one of those, classic LA guys where I go, how do you make money? There's so many people like this in LA. And by the way, there could be very legitimate ways he makes money. I'm not saying he sells his body for money, but in LA, you meet so many people and they're wearing like a $60,000 watch and it's a Wednesday and they're at the grocery store and you're like, how does that person make money? And then someone will be like, hey, that guy's the guitarist for 311 or whatever. And you're like, it is? That's what LA's like. And I know Craig has done some directing and he's done a lot of different stuff. And that's very LA, the multi-hyphenate. But he really follows the sport. And he said that Belinda Bencic won Abu Dhabi in front of her 9-month-old baby. Isn't that cute? Isn't that great? It always reminds me that Serena's baby never really saw her win a slam. And it's so unfortunate because maybe she was 3, maybe she was 4. And it was like, oh, does mom ever win these things? Yeah, she fucking wins them. It reminds me of the time we were driving up north, and we live in Brooklyn, and I was doing a spot at the stand, and my wife packed up the car with our daughter in it because we were going from the stand. You got to go through Manhattan to get out of town. So she brought my daughter to the stand, and they're running a little bit late. And I was like, well, let's have her watch my show. She's 2. She doesn't understand anything. It's not like I'm dirty anyways. And I just started bombing. I mean, straight bomb session. 3, 2, 1, blast off. Here comes the bomb. And it was very funny because I'm at the point where this was like a Thursday night where if you bomb on a Thursday night, it's okay. If you bomb on a Saturday night, it's okay. It's very rare that it happens. And to be honest with you, I would say this was the crowd's fault. Of course I say that. But I remember just being up there kind of like, oh, this is going poorly. And then looking over and my daughter is just staring at me. And I'm like, what does she think of all this? She might just think that dad sucks at comedy. I sometimes think about this. There are comics out there that are not good at comedy who are parents. And they're trying to transition out of their job or their work as an accountant or a lawyer or whatever the fuck it is. And this is their dream to be a comedian. And their son or daughter doesn't know that they're bad at comedy. Isn't that such a sad thing? Like right now, my daughter thinks I'm good at fixing things around the house because she knows she's seen me get a screwdriver. I've got some tape. I've fixed something once or twice. But eventually she's going to learn that dad doesn't know shit. Dad's a bitch. And that's going to be a sad day. Do you remember when you saw your parents as real people? And I'll tell you this right now, as someone who's lost a parent, it's very strange, watching your other parent who's alive when one of the parents is gone because it's even more clear how human they are. Holy shit. It's like our whole life, our parents have been immortal, have been these bigger than they actually are. They provide for you. They protect you, hopefully. They have the answers. They console you. But when you actually see them as a human, as making mistakes, I've heard of people talking about this when a parent, goes through addiction trouble, gambling trouble, when they have to ask for help or they're in trouble. I mean, imagine that. I interviewed Rex Chapman years ago on The Daily Show. Very fascinating story. NBA star, became addicted to painkillers, started robbing Apple stores in the Phoenix area. On his 9th burglary, he finally got caught. He was in prison. This is in his book. He was in prison. When he got checked out of prison, his son was there to pick him up, but they gave him his belongings, and in the belongings was like an opioid pill. And so his son picks him up, and it's kind of embarrassed, and it's sad, and, it's kind of like everything's come to a head. And his son is asking him what's going on, and, how much longer are we going to do this? And he's embarrassed. And seeing your dad in such a helpless, also frustrating way as a son, man, that's really, really tough. And there's not enough discussed about what addiction does to the kids, man. They have to grow up faster. They grow up. They never really learn how to emotionally process stuff. Anyways, Rex takes the opioid pill right before his son picks him up, and he's starting to get high on opioids after just being arrested and held in prison. And his son is kind of having this what are we doing with our life, Dad? And he's getting high. It's just crazy, right? It's sad. It's so sad. Addiction is so sad. One of the hardest I ever cried was at that 30 for 30. Was it Chris Hansen? The, what was his name? The Boston Celtic drug addict, 30 for 30. I hate to search it like that, but Chris Herron, Chris Herron. If you have not seen the 30 for 30 with Chris Herron, I had a chance to also talk to him on the Regis show. Fascinating 30 for 30. Heartbreaking, beautiful, sad, cry-worthy, amazing, all of that. Look, it can be defeating if you didn't vote for Donald Trump. What's happening right now, and by the way, 3/4 of America did not vote for Donald Trump. 79 million people voted for him. 75 voted for Kamala. The other half of the country didn't vote. But there's a part of me that is watching all these executive orders, and there's a lot been talked about flooding the zone, and they put out so much stuff so you can't really grab onto anything. It's easy to feel defeated, blah, blah, blah. And there's a part of me that is like, yeah, I mean, he won, and what did you think he was going to do? This was Project 2025's plan. You couldn't have given him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, it's like there's a part of me that is more mad at the people who supported him than Donald Trump right now. Donald Trump is effectively doing what he said he was going to do. I do think he's gotten more media attention in 3 weeks than Joe Biden did in 4 years. Part of that is Joe Biden's fault. The joke I said last night on stage was that even if Joe Biden died right now, the first 3 things on CNN would be Trump's executive orders, and then there'd be a little ticker down below that said, oh, by the way, Joe Biden's dead. Joe Biden was not good at messaging. He was not good at playing the message game, at communicating, at bragging. Those are all important qualities that I want in a child, but I think in this political environment, we needed more, right? We needed more. We needed him to brag and push and fight more. And even if he was doing an effective job at it, part of the deal now, thanks to probably Donald Trump and the divisiveness of politics in America, is you got to really communicate it. So my thoughts are this. I think it's gross what's happening with the executive orders, but there are judges. There are federal judges. I mean, the checks and balances will be pushed. And I found a great quote that was basically saying, look, this is the test. He's going to push everything. He pushes everything. And these systems are in place to check an authoritarian leader. Now, will it work? Well, that's the question. But a lot of people have been asking me, both at my stand-up shows and at the Daily Show, like, how do you get through the day? And this is so sad. And is this the beginning of the end of democracy? And all of those things are true. And it might be the beginning of the end of democracy. But I also remind people, we do have checks and balances, and federal judges can stop executive orders. Now, Congress can make laws, and if Trump really thinks these are going to pass as laws, he can have Congress do that or try to do that. But he knows that that's not going to happen, even with such a slim majority. So he signs his executive orders, and now the plan is push everything through executive orders. If judges do their job, which is to say, stop, birthright citizenship is in the Constitution, you can't just nullify that. Then they're going to go on a campaign saying, let the president do his job, let the president do his job. But this is also let the judges do their job. So there's a part of me that knows Trump is going to push it. I hate how he pushes it. This is like playing doubles with somebody that if it's anywhere near the line, it's called out. And it's like, it's not really moral or ethical in my opinion, but technically it's not against the law. Does that make sense? So this comes from The Week, a magazine I love reading. Many of Trump's executive orders are headed for the courts, said Cleve Woodson Jr. in the Washington Post. His flurry of directives drew immediate pushback from lawyers, constitutional scholars, and others who said Trump had exceeded the limits of his presidential power, an overreach for which he offered scant legal justification. He's going to push it, you guys. He's going to push it. That's what he does. He pushes it. So be ready to push it. It drives me crazy. I interviewed Gretchen Whitmer on The Daily Show, and it was a lot of fluff questions because that's how it needed to go down. And she's on the Democratic re-election Kamala Harris committee, whatever. And I said to her, look, the Dems have momentum now, but you know Trump's coming. He's a competitor. He's going to fight. What's the plan? You know what she said? It's on YouTube somewhere. She said, we're going to win. Everyone loves Kamala. Well, guess what? That didn't work. The guy pushes it. Be ready to be pushed. He's going to take it as far until you hit him in the nose, like a horse. I was once bit by a horse, and I'm terrified of horses, and I was bit by this horse. The next week, we're having a barbecue. The horse is out. There's a fence. I'm staying far away from the horse, and I'm watching another man kind of pet this horse. And the horse goes to bite the man, and the man knows what he's doing because he's been around horses. And he backs off, and then he pops the horse in the nose. And you know what the horse did? It backed the fuck up. That's what it did. You got to pop Trump in the nose. You got to give him a little warning. Stop. You can't do this shit. That's not within your powers. Republicans are not going to do that. They are soft, and they're S-ing Trump's D right now. But judges can do that. We need the judges right now. Here I go. Numerous lawsuits have already been filed to fight his order ending birthright citizenship and to challenge Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, which is the thing they just totally made up. Isn't it funny how he hates immigrants, but then he gives an immigrant one of these weird-ass jobs, which opponents say violates transparency laws for government advisory groups. Several Trump's maneuvers deserve particular attention, said Zach Beauchamp in Vox. Birthright citizenship is one. Others include his January 6 pardons, literally people that hit cops over the head. They all got pardoned. And an order designed to remove protections for federal workers and clear the way for a civil service purge. This is the most interesting part right here. Each challenges democratic principles and is a test for how resilient our system will prove to an aspiring authoritarian. We'll all soon learn the answer. Yes, it's being tested. And the forefathers who wrote this shit in the 1780s, they probably didn't envision this, but will the checks and balances crumble or will they do their job? By the way, it is not a coincidence that Trump got that Pennsylvania, is he a school teacher? Is he a reporter? Out of prison in Russia, okay? Great photo op, flag around his shoulders, says he's the luckiest man alive. And then an hour later, Pete Hegseth says the Ukraine should not be in the UN and that Russia basically gets to redraw the borders. Not a surprise. Not a surprise. At what cost did Trump get that guy out of Russian prison? Hey, we want this guy out so I can do the photo op. And then also we're going to tell Ukraine Russia's allowed to take your land. Right? He's good at politicking. He is good at politicking. And the Dems got to figure it out. I hope they are. Ladies and gentlemen, game, set, match, Kosta. I'll see you at the Upper West Side book signing March 10th. I'll see you in Palm Beach March 22nd. I'll see you March 13th in Austin, Texas. I'll see you in Atlanta doing stand-up comedy. St. Louis doing stand-up comedy at the City Wineries. I'll see you at the Mothership in Austin. I'm going to see you, motherfuckers. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Aggressive swings, safe targets, game, set, match. Kosta.